morning, everyone. This is Dr. Krishna Chaitanya, working as Assistant Professor of English in the Department of Mathematics and Humanities, MGIT, that stands for Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Technology. It's my genuine pleasure and delight to share space on this online platform to share my knowledge. At the same time, having interaction with the learned participants. So first of all, I'd like to express my deep sense of thanks and gratitude for Vijay Bhavat Trust for philanthropically organizing taking up such noble initiatives, where a lot of participants as well as people of general interest can get immensely benefited because they've come up with a wide variety of topics, not just English language, but they've dealt with topics such as psychology, communication skills, life skills, a host of other topics. So I express my special note of thanks to Rajshekar sir, who has given me this opportunity to present a brief presentation right in front of you. So regarding my introduction, I've already mentioned, right, I'm working as Assistant Professor of English in MGIT. So there's not much to talk about my background. Let's begin the session of the current times, especially keeping the current pandemic situation outside, right? Especially education sector has got a lot of pressure, especially teachers of English and other subjects as well. Teachers are expected to be digital friendly and digital literate, techno savvy to use tech tools in this pandemic situation. Also, many teachers, whether they like it or not, they are forced at times and they are learning a lot of tech tools to use in their online teaching. Although in the context of India, most of the teachers are not really used to or trained specifically for teaching online, irrespective of any subjects for that matter. So it obviously requires training, at the same time supporting system for all the teachers. Another problem with online teaching is technology and availability of internet resources. Even in my context, there will be some problems here and then. So you can always expect that my session will be ended abruptly and I'll be joining back because even technology is not predictable. I mean, today in Hyderabad, it's raining. So I'm not really sure if I can continue all 30 minutes. There will be technical glitches here and there. So kindly bear with me. So keeping the current pandemic situation in context, so we have to learn a lot of technical tools so that we can use them in our online teaching so that our classes will be more engaging, fruitful, and interactive with students. One of the common apprehensions that most of the teachers have is whether in online classes, do we have a scope for interaction the way we have it in face-to-face classrooms? Obviously, the kind of interaction we have in face-to-face teaching, we do not find it online, but there are tools which makes it possible. So today in my session, I'm going to introduce some of the tech tools and web resources which can be used effectively to make classes interactive, to make assessments easy, at the same time, to give one-to-one feedback to students. So without much ado, I'd like to begin the talk. And before beginning, I'd like to request all of you, if you are interested or if you can take up 1 or 2 surveys in between based on what we discuss. So you can expect 2 Google forms. One, I'll be sending it to you after half an hour, and the second one towards end of my talk. So each of it has about 3 to 4 questions, which we do not even take a minute's time. So do fill it up. And in the beginning, I'll begin with an answer guarding questions. So I'll explain you how you can respond to those. Only these 3 things you can expect during the talk. And teachers of English, especially in this context, are expected to play a wide variety of roles. Besides being a teacher is expected to play the role of researcher and facilitator, guide, counselor, material producer, paper setter, a wide variety of roles. Besides that, now we have another important role, teaching online. And that's another important and challenging role. Yeah, this present pandemic situation has posed many challenges as well as um, problems for teaching community. But let's take it up in a positive sense. So when we accept change, then there will be wonderful things happen. When we resist change, right, it's really difficult to progress further. So the point here is we have to accept challenges and exploit as much as possible in terms of taking resources from online and making our classes lively, interactive, and interesting. So let's take up this challenging situation to our advantage. I can also see that this is a kind of blessing in disguise situation for many teachers, because most of the time teachers have, especially, I mean, teachers have limited time to focus on their professional development, because most of us indulge or rather engage in classroom activities besides that correcting assignments. So all this is a busy schedule for every teachers. So there is always limited time and space for most of us to look back, reflect, learn new things. This pandemic situation, on one side of the coin, provided time and space for many teachers to sit back, learn technical tools, experiment with them, and make their own videos and share it on wide variety of platforms. So this is how, on one side of the coin, this is a positive sign. The other side, yeah, there are problems with livelihood and getting wages and other things. Yeah, this is the current situation that we have now. So without much ado, I'd like to begin the presentation. Let me share my screen. Give me a few seconds. Thank you. Hope you're able to see my screen. Kindly confirm if you can see my screen. I just want to confirm if you can see my PowerPoint presentation. Can I have a response from one of the individuals who can see the screen and respond quickly?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So in today's talk, I'll be walking you through few digital resources in the teaching and learning of English language. Yeah. So let me begin with this interesting quote, which is relevant to all times for teachers and other professionals as well. I hear and I forget. I see and I remember. I do and I understand. The purpose of main teaching is to let students work on their own. So every one of us is striving for developing individuality in students. So the first context, if you take up, I hear and I forget. Gone are those days when we were in the classroom. We used to listen to teachers ask together. So we were able to remember and reproduce in exams, right? And that, to a major extent, did not really help to improve language skills. Today's generation, I mean, really doesn't have patience, or I should say, attention span to listen to us together. So we have to bring certain changes in teaching methodology as well. Going to next one, I see and I remember. So whenever you help students in terms of demonstrating something, explaining something, showing examples, connecting classroom with real world, there is a possibility of remembering most of the content that you deal in the classroom. And the third one is I do and I understand. So this is what a teacher should be doing in the classroom. So we have to give space and time for students to do things on their own. So as long as printed material is provided to students, that's the case with most of the corporate colleges in intermediate. That really didn't help students to come up with their own individuality, come up with their own thought process, come up with their own creative ideas. So we have to encourage students to do on their own. This is how we can ensure self-work on their part, so the self-development occurs, and we can also promote learner autonomy. So as long as they're autonomous in terms of learning, then their progress will not be stopped. So the purpose of any kind of teaching is help students doing on their own, studying on their own. So we should provide required information and material, required support to them, and let them work on their own. That's the main purpose of it. And today, what we're doing is I introduce these tools. I invite you to use on your own and respond during this uh, session. Yeah. So let's begin with the diversification of language teaching and learning. As I've just mentioned in the introductory part, these are changing times, challenging times for most of the teachers and even learners too. So this is a time where we need to diversify our learning at the same time, teaching methodology. So we've just shifted from classroom teaching to online teaching. Now, this particular online teaching has become the new normal across the world. And this has become order of the day for many teachers. So I'd like to begin with a brief survey uh, so that I'll understand more about what kind of expectations you have on the session and the kind of work you're doing using technology for teaching. Okay, I'd like you to open answergarden.ch. This is the website. If you can just type it on your Google browser, answergarden.ch, you can see this website. Then I'd like you to respond to the first question. What is one thing that comes to your mind when you think of? Most of us are using technology for various purposes besides teaching. You have, and what is your experience of learning with technology? Okay, you can give me response maybe in a word or two words. Not, a sentence is not required. You can say exactly. Right or not comfortable. You can give your own responses based on what you feel about teaching online. So for that, what you can do is you can open answergarden.ch website. Once you open it, you can find plus symbol on top right corner. Okay, you can give a click on it. Once you click, you will have a box in the website, in the web page. Then you can enter this code 1347853. So the moment you enter this code, you'll be asked to give your response. This is a very interesting website to make classes interactive. You can use this tool in even in your class, and it's very user friendly, simple to use, and anyone can use it at any point of time. You can give a question, seek multiple responses from students. You can ask a question, generate some ideas from your peer group or teachers when you form a kind of group or club. So may I know, are you able to do it or you face any problems? So I'll be closing my this particular screen, and let me see how if you're able to do it. Or you can give responses in the chat box. If you find it difficult or you have technical glitches at your end, you can give responses on the chat box. Yeah, let me ask you, you find it, is it difficult to answer, or are you able to find Answer Garden? If you can type it in the chat box, so we will be able to monitor it simultaneously. That's another alternative. Yeah. Okay, let us continue with the presentation. Yeah, you can say by mentioning, if you find online teaching very interesting, comfortable, because if you have a feeling that you really enjoy online teaching, you can always mention saying excited, interesting, excellent, wonderful. Right? All this could be some of the possible responses that you can type in Answer Garden. Yeah, fine, good. Got some responses. Yeah, interesting, fine, excellent. Yeah, some of us are always apprehensive about using technology. That's problem, because one thing is connectivity is a major issue. Second thing is individualist teachers should show initiation and enthusiasm to learn these tech tools. I have another question for you before beginning the session. Name a few web resources you use to learn English. I anticipate by this time you've been using a lot of technical tools. It can be websites where you can download information and customize to students' needs, or some of the tech tools like Padlet, or platforms such as Zoom and Edmondo. All these are various kinds of LMS. LMS is a learning management system, which is quite common these days. Most of the schools and colleges are purchasing LMS. It's a kind of a platform where teachers and students interact, share information, share materials, assess students' progress, provide grading system. A lot of other things are possible using LMS. Yeah. Now let me begin with the overview of my presentation. In this presentation, I'll be dealing with exploring web or digital sources to teach English. That's the primary goal of the presentation. Number two is to categorize online learning resources skill-wise. So I'll be walking you through a few web resources skill-wise. Though we always learn English by integrating skills. So each of the website that I'm going to provide you information about how each skill can be mastered. When you take up each individual skill, you also find integration of various skills. And that's another interesting aspect in these web tools. Number three, to provide hands-on training to use them. So I introduce you to these websites and you can work and send feedback simultaneously. So that really helps for you to work on your own, and you can get back if you have any questions. To present tech tools for teaching, learning English online. So some of the tech tools that you find really interesting, some of the tools that you've already been using can be found in this. Towards the end of the presentation, I'll be discussing advantages of using web tools. What are some of the advantages we have when it comes to using various web tools? Yeah, let me begin. So, role of digital sources in learning English. So why do we think we should use digital resources in learning English. The reason one is many digital resources are free and inexpensive. So the question here is whether the tool that we use is authentic or not. That's one thing we should confirm. And then most of these resources are freely available. You can add information, download worksheets, customize to your students' levels, and then use it on your own. So whenever you find you have limited time to produce material on your own, or if you think you need more training to produce material, then you can use some of these resources where a lot of language learning resources, activities on major skills such as listening, speaking, reading, writing. You find a lot of materials on it. Besides that, you can also find information on subsidiary skills such as pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. So all these 4 plus 3, 7 are essential skills to be mastered when it comes to developing language. It's essential both for teachers as well as learners. So all these sources you can find these websites. So second possibility of web resources is whether you are at school or stationed in a remote place or in person, you can still learn online. In the absence of teacher, right, the best platform to learn language or any other subject is online. This is the reason why online learning has become so powerful these days. And many people regard it as a powerful tool in learning and improving language. Going forward, and learning is always enhanced by interactive visual aids and access to lessons they can follow at their own pace, place, and comfort. Yeah, this is another interesting point why we can learn. I mean, why we can learn online. Point here is students or teachers can choose their own place, pace, and comfort to learn these resources. They are not time bound like you need to be present at 9 o'clock so that you can get access to it. It's not that. You can get access to these web resources at any time. So this is the comfort that we have from technology. And the third thing here is variety of content online, rich resource for developing English language skills. I say its content is diversified because you have a wide variety of resources, wide variety of websites which can offer content on a variety of aspects. For example, if you can go through a reading comprehension given in a particular website, you can find content from geography, history, technology, literature, and sculpture. So this is how we can get exposed to wide variety of subjects. So exposing ourselves to rich content in English is always important. That promotes extempo, at the same time, argumentative discussion, presentation skills in every individual. It helps teachers as well as students. Yeah, let me begin with the first resource, ESL Launch. This website is used for reading. But this website also provides you information on other skills that I've mentioned: reading, listening, speaking, writing, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. But reading is specifically stressed here because it provides various kinds of reading comprehensions, and most of them are time bound, and the content is regularly updated in this website. Moreover, this is a genuine and authentic website for learning language. I call this kind of learning self-paced learning. So because we can decide our own pace, place, and comfort to learn these resources. So one interesting point here is most of the resources here organized by level. When I mean level, various levels of students. Indian classrooms are known for heterogeneity. You find people from various backgrounds, and their language learning abilities levels are different. Some of them are at elementary level in terms of using language. Some of them are at intermediate level, and a few students are advanced levels. So it's a kind of mixed classroom that we have in most of the classrooms, whether it is in rural place, semi-urban, or urban place. So using this particular website, you can choose levels and provide information to students. If you think your students fall in between elementary and intermediate, we can all elementary and advanced, we can always choose intermediate level activities. In a few minutes, I'll be walking you through this website. Yeah, regarding reading, you can find 25 reading comprehension exercises with answers for each level. So there will be 4 to 5 levels, right? Each level you can find at least 25 reading comprehension exercises, and you can give time so that you can check how quickly you're able to do it. That's another interesting point. And whenever you find busy or giving regular reading comprehensions, you can always choose variety content from these. You can find stories. You can also find information on soft skills, life skills, and general topics such as health, yoga, and other topics. So most of them are really interesting topics, content-wise really rich. So when you allow students to read variety of content, you also allow them to improve their knowledge in various other subjects. And that in the long run helps them communicating on any given topic easily with ease and comfort. They'll be able to express their views. That's additional advantage of exposing students to a variety of content. Most of these reading comprehensions are short because it's about 200 to 250 words, so which they can read comfortably in 10 to 15 minutes and answer the questions. They can attend these questions online, they can see their responses, they can get immediate feedback, and they can reattempt to give a second chance. So some of the tips that you can suggest students when they use these websites. So request them, tell them that giving yourself a time limit is very important because reading is considered to be a competitive skill. You can find reading comprehensions in most of the language testing examinations, such as IELTS, TOEFL, or even in regular academic examinations in schools and colleges. Reading comprehension is one of the common topics that can be given in examination point of view. Number two is we can also educate children, educate our own students to test their reading speed. Although it's not essential at school level, especially primary level, but we can tell them how important reading is and how reading speed helps them reading a comprehension quickly, understanding content quickly. So the average reader can read 200 to 250 words per minute. And students, if they are told, they can check their reading speed. It's also a motivating factor for them to improve. And a good reader of a language can read about 300 to 400 words. And in such certain cases, 400 plus words can be read by a very good reader of language. Advanced level reader can read about 700 to 1000 words. That's a whopping number. But through practice, consistent efforts, right, one will be able to reach to this stage, reading 700 to 1000 words per minute, which means this individual can read, right, novels very fast. And these readers can not only read very fast, but they can comprehend the content given there. It's not about reading speed, it's about reading and understanding. Both are equally important in this particular aspect. So exposing them, motivating them to read a lot of literature, such as short story books and information pertaining to sports and other essential areas from magazines and newspapers, really help them in improving their reading speed. And the last thing is we can also suggest students to devote time to look for new words after reading. So most of the time when students come across new words, like either they ignore it or sometimes they ask. So in the case they ignore these words, that becomes a habit. So we have to tell them individually, right? Reading as well as knowing words, both are equally essential to improve reading. And this is the website. Let me walk you through this website, ESL launch. I'll also show you how this can be done in the real time. ESL launch is an interesting website. You can use it, suggest it to your students. So let me take you to reading. As I mentioned, you have a wide variety of things here. You have videos, level tests, test preparation for various examination, information on grammar, followed by exercises, vocabulary, reading, listening, a lot of other things. So now our purpose is to go through reading. So as mentioned, there are 4 levels of reading exercises. Based on the level of our students, we can always choose what level they fit in and what kind of information given to them. For example, we have elementary, pre-intermediate, intermediate, advanced levels. As teachers of language, having first-hand experience of your own classrooms, you will be able to understand whether your students are at advanced level, intermediate level, pre-intermediate, and elementary. So the grading is very interesting here. So as you start solving these problems, right, you can always improve the level. So in elementary to pre-intermediate, pre-intermediate to intermediate. For example, let's click on advanced. I'm just demonstrating it, but you can use anything that you feel like using it. Here you have an interesting story, a short one, Snake Bites a Boy. Read the text, look at the questions that follow it. In this reading comprehension, the questions are multiple choice. When we introduce reading, we introduce them sub-skills of reading such as skimming and scanning, besides global questions and local questions. All these are some of the common discussion that we have in the classroom when we take up a reading skill. So here you have 4 questions, but you can still customize this. Keeping the 4 questions apart, we can design some questions based on skimming, some of them are on scanning, probably one global question to seek their opinions on the overall impression that they have on this entire reading comprehension. This is how customization of material can be done easily online. So this is a kind of a printable worksheet. You can copy it, paste it to your Word document, and make modifications. So here we've got 4 questions. So as and when you click answer, you can always check your score. You can check your score and you can reattempt it. If you think some of the questions are wrong, then you can always suggest your students to reattempt these. And this is how we have a lot of possibilities using reading comprehension. Whether you are willing, shall I continue with the presentation, or would you be interested looking at this reading comprehension and answering these 4 questions? Yeah, fine. So what I do is I introduce these tools today, and you can experiment with these tools at your free time, because the time is limited. So let me get back to the presentation. If you have any questions in between, you can always type them in the chat box. So I'll be able to answer them either during the presentation or at the end of my presentation. Both of them are fine with me. Yeah, shall I get back, or would you be interested going through this passage? Okay, I'm going back with your permission. Let me also introduce you to various other pages it has. Here you can see reading comprehensions on variety of topics, air-based related to marine engineering, Siberian winter about geography, snake bites boy literature stories, new fact-checking website arrives, it's about technology. Likewise, you find information on variety of topics. That's very interesting part of these websites. And this website is a genuine one and the content is updated regularly. You can swipe from one page to another page to see new reading comprehensions. Here you have something on human cloning, the police chase, right? Shanghai, important city in China. Likewise. So you also have a PDF. You can download it and make use of it in your classrooms. Yeah. Yeah. Are you able to follow, or am I going at a bit faster pace? If you're okay with it, I'll be continuing the rest of the presentation. If you have any suggestions or if you have any remarks, kindly type in the chat box. I'll be looking into chat box now and then, because the purpose is to make it crystal clear in terms of using these digital resources. So whenever you have something to ask, something to say, if anything is not clear, please use chat box. Yeah, I'll be suggesting some websites. A request from Kiran. I'll be doing it in the next few minutes. First website I've introduced you to is this reading website. Yeah, let me share the screen again. Here we are. So this is the first website. It's called ESL Launch. Let me go to next website. Write and improve. Writing is another important skill that mostly students find it very difficult to master. So they say reasons such as spelling being one of the major problems with them. Besides spelling, they also find it difficult in sentence construction and grammatical way of arranging sentences, ensuring